All right, while we wait for people to file into the room, let's have a silly question contest. Maybe it's not that silly. So I'm Gary DeHart, publisher of Insightful Accountant, just in case you don't know me as you file in. So we'll start with Esther. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
No, wrong. Remember that from, no. No, you remember that from Monty Python? Have you ever seen Monty Python?
Oh my God. Sorry.
What's your favorite color? Red, no blue? Yeah. Liz, what's your favorite food?
Macaroni and cheese.
Mac and
The
cheese.
creamy kind.
Just mac and cheese, nothing added to it.
No, I know. I know fancy lobster. No, just plain mac and cheese.
Just mac and cheese, just like Kraft out of a box or
I
homemade.
will do that. Like whenever I don't feel well, I think that's my go-to comfort food.
Right.
But as far as like backyard barbecue, as far as like family get-togethers, I like the creamy kind.
I got you. All right. I'm not a mac and cheese fan, but at a recent graduation party, they had like a mac and cheese bar, had all this kind of stuff you could throw in it. I tried it. It was good, but again, not my favorite. All right, Susan, you're with us, right? I don't see you on my screen. We're kind of limited on the number we have showing here, but Susan, what's your favorite city to go to?
Favorite city to travel to currently, I want to say is Chicago because my partner is currently there.
There you
I
go.
was just there last week. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Esther
excited
was hobnobbing.
Summer.
Esther
I was hobnobbing at the Ritz.
with some fancy folks last week. So, all right. I guess we probably should do some work, shouldn't we? All right. So good morning and thank you for joining us for Insightful Accountant's Future Forward Summit. My name is Gary DeHart. I'm the publisher of Insightful Accountant and host of the Accounting Insiders podcast and of the Future Forward Summit. Today's opening session is our QB Talks, which is entitled Whet Your Appetite. Get that little play on words and the App-etite. I like it. So our speakers are two of the profession's experts. One is Liz Scott, and the other is Esther Freeberg-Karp. And then we also have Susan Lamb. And Susan, I don't mean to minimize your level of professionalism or expertise. It's just when I wrote it, I put experts on QuickBooks. And so, not diminishing you by any means. I know you're an expert as well. So I will have them introduce themselves after I cover a couple of housekeeping items. And those housekeeping items are this session is CPE, does qualify for CPE, but just like all the sessions, you have to be here for 50 minutes, and you must answer 3 of the polling questions, and we only have 3 polling questions, so don't miss one if you want CPE. Meet those 2 requirements, and we will send you an email with a link to a short survey. Complete that survey, and we will send you your certificate. If you have any questions during the sessions, we ask you to place them down in the Q&A panel. Be sure to make a specific reference to a topic that your question's about, because the speaker may not be able to answer your question when you type it. So they may be 5 minutes later before they answer your question and have talked about 3 other things and not know exactly what you're asking. So just be specific in your question. Don't just say, what do you mean by that? Our sponsor today is Pluto. So provide your clients a higher level of service and increase your revenues while eliminating tedious manual work for everyone in your firm with Pluto. We'll have a polling question for you in a little bit about Pluto. See if you would like to hear from Pluto. Again, without companies like Pluto and our other sponsors, we're not able to produce this event. So we certainly appreciate their support. So without any further delay, I will go ahead and turn the reins over to our speakers so they can share what they know about QBO. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks for the introduction and thanks for getting us kicked off and asking fun questions. Now I know Esther's favorite color.
Yeah, but next time I want Gary to ask what our favorite cartoon character is.
Oh, okay. What would it be? So now I have to know what's the answer to that one.
Bugs Bunny, for sure.
Oh,
I'm all in with you on Bugs. Bugs is my guy.
I like Roadrunner. If we're gonna go, the cartoon level. Beep beep. So I will go ahead and start us off on our introductions here. Many of you I know, so hello. My name is Liz Scott, and I get to do a couple of really cool things. And working with apps is the place that I feel like I didn't eventually start off in that area, but that is where I have ended up, and I love it. I dig it. So one of the things that I'm known for is working with apps and doing tutorials, how-tos, writing it up, kind of sharing maybe what are some of those use cases. And it's a really fun space to be able to, I think, help a lot of the accounting community, because we struggle with apps because there's so many of them, how to get started, what to do. So if you're curious about apps, I definitely recommend a lot of the resources that Insightful Accountant has. Appy Hour's got lots of resources there as well. So that's a lot about me in a nutshell. Esther, do you want to give an introduction to yourself and what you do?
Sure. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, you do some really cool stuff. I fell into this accounting space. I actually started off life as an actuarial student, as a mathematician, but I fell into the QuickBooks universe. And for me, it was love at first click. And I became an international cross-border and multi-currency specialist. I am a certified ProAdvisor in 3 countries, Canada, the US, and the UK. And I also have certification in the international editions of QuickBooks Online. Like Liz, I'm a member of the Trainer Writer Network, and I've been a member of the top 100 ProAdvisors and the top 10. And I wrote a book called Multi-Currency in QuickBooks Desktop, available on my website and on Amazon. And my next book will be Multi-Currency in QuickBooks Online. So I guess the next one is over to you, Susan.
Well, Susan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Definitely. Thank you both. One, for having me at this session as well, and allowing me to take this time to introduce myself. Everybody, my name is Susan. I am a lead on the product adoption and onboarding team here at Pluto. And as Gary was mentioning, we are the sponsor for this session today. I guess a quick elevator speech about my background and history. I'm really that experience in that customer success space, the enablement, training and technical onboarding is my thing. I love it. I love supporting people on understanding new platforms and tech itself, and been in the tech space for about 6 years now. In addition, if you had any information about Pluto, we'll chat a little bit more about the platform and what we do, and of course have some information to share at the end of this session too. So really excited to get things going.
Well, I know that Esther and I are both glad that you're here, and just kind of introduce the flow of today. One of the things that Esther and I wanted to bring to everyone was this concept of automation. And we thought that it would be fantastic to bring Pluto along in that conversation, because as we're talking about apps, we also have the opportunity to have Pluto come in and share some of the automation that's built into their system. What kind of apps are they actually using internally? So I know a lot of you are like us, with Esther and I being small firms. But when we think about some of the larger firms and we think about some of the larger tech that's out here, this is going to be kind of an unusual situation where we get to unveil like what kind of integrations is Pluto using. So this is a fun session. And Susan, you are our special guest here today. So Esther and I definitely welcome you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And fun fact, Susan and I are both in Toronto. So I'm looking forward to seeing you face to face in real life.
And it sounds like we'll all be at Scaling New Heights. So that's all. If you are interested in meeting all of us in person, we'll be there as well.
That's right.
Yeah, very, very soon, right around the corner. Esther, do you want to take us through our learning objectives?
Great, Liz, I will. So our learning objectives for this session are to identify common workplace apps that offer built-in automation so that you don't have to code at all. We'll describe how to find those automation options in the workplace. And of course, that gives you more time to do all kinds of things, whether it's running your business, growing your business, having a bath, going on a date, having fun.
Having a bath.
Having fun in the bath. Okay, I won't go there. All right.
Oh, I always love hanging out with you. So I do.
Back at you.
You always get me. So agenda, one of the things that we'll kind of dive into is these integrations that exist. Some of that, hold on, let me cough again. Sorry, team. Some of the things that, Esther, I may pass this over to you while I grab a drink.
Sure, absolutely. So with those learning objectives in mind, we have an agenda for this session. We'll talk about low-code app integrators. I'm sure we'll be mentioning names that you have heard before, like Zapier, what can be done with them. But then we'll also be talking about no-code or built-in automation. And then we will talk about examples and how we use them. And I'm really looking forward to see what Pluto's tech stack is in the background. I got to tell you, I really am.
Well, I think it's awesome that we're exploring this idea of there's automation in various different forms, and we really do have such a wide variety of what we're going to be showing today, because there's so many different options. And I think that one of the reasons why this particular conversation is so important to accountants is we have data everywhere. We have communication that's needed in such a variety of different places. So it makes it where anytime that we can pull in a solution to say, take this data that might be existing over here on its own and pull it into our workflow, or take this workflow that now we've completed that piece of the transaction or the review or whatever, and now push over a conversation over to a client. Those are all things that we struggle with. So when we can make our jobs a little smoother and have a nicer transition with some automation, we have a huge time win.
Absolutely.
And accuracy. I mean, I think that's like the biggest thing that we get to.
And peace of mind too. I just got to say, that's worth everything.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do without my workflow tool. I feel like I park so much inside my workflow tool, but just that alone doesn't allow you to do everything that you need. But that peace of mind, that's where I park my notes. That's where I park my to-dos. And, these are, we've got examples right here of low code integrations. So for years, we've been hearing about Zapier, but there's some other ones that are on this slide that I want to call out. So if you're somebody who's already familiar with Zapier, you are very familiar with this concept of, a condition and a reaction. That's really what happens here in Zapier. So we're saying, if this is the case, then do that. But make is also something that is very, very similar to Zapier. And it's got a lot of those same concepts. There's a little bit of difference in pricing whenever I'm looking at these different apps that are on the screen. One of the ones that stands out is Tray.io, and that one's going to be more of this possibility of connecting different apps in order to have different types of quadrant control. And the platform that I think about too, whenever I'm looking at why might I choose one of these over the other, maybe you're somebody who looks at Zapier and you understand the flow of the data, but then you look over at Make and you like the user interface more. So that's why there's several different options here that we want to look through, because there's such a wide variety of how you can use this, in a lot of cases, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and put it into play in order to save you time. And like you said, Esther, just, brain space.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, Esther, I think that Zapier is something that we would all love a little bit more of a deeper dive into.
Well, sure. These are just some examples. The top two are two cute little Zaps, automated workflows that I've created, and they actually ran this weekend. So it's very timely. I could have combined them into one, but I created them when I was first dipping my toe into the Lake Zapier. So I was trying little things one at a time. So the first one on the left here sends me a text, an SMS text, when someone pays me. Whether I've entered it in QBO myself or through QuickBooks payments and they've paid me, so I get a text. The second one sends an email to that client thanking them for that payment. telling them their resulting balance, often it's zero, and directing them to rate me on the Find a ProAdvisor website if they like my service. And I have a recurring invoice to a particular client that got sent out without me even realizing it this past week. And all of a sudden over the weekend, oh, they paid me. There's the text. And oh, I look at my email outbox and there's the email thanking them for it. And I did nothing. I did nothing. I did not lift a finger. It was amazing. But at the bottom of this screen is a third zap, which thanks someone for following me on Twitter and asking them to visit my website. And that's all very well and good, except things happen. This Twitter zap had stopped working. There was an expired connection. I didn't even notice, and I had to reconnect it. And in fact, Liz, can you go to the next screen? So what happened was I got an email saying, hey, Esther, there's something wrong with this Zap. Here's what you need to do. And so I had to go into this Twitter Zap and figure out what the problem was. And since I created it a long time ago, I had to refresh my memory as to what it was doing. It was a simple Zap, so it didn't take me long to fix. Had it been a more complex one, I probably wouldn't have fixed it so quickly. So these zaps have to be curated and fixed. You have to be aware that sometimes things will expire, things will break, things might happen, and you have to go in and curate them.
I almost feel like that's one of those things that we have to pay attention to with any of the automation that we're plugging in, is that we have to go and look at updates. We have to look at connections that might break. We're talking about moving pieces of data from one solution over into another, and with there being an automatic rule that's set up. A lot of us are really familiar with rules. That's pretty much what we're doing with all of these connectors, is we're creating a rule with the condition that's met, then this happens. And so in scenarios like Zapier or any of these other tools that we were just talking about, Make or with even Tray.io, it's like all of those are going to have to take a level of review from time to time to just make sure that we're aware that they're still working, or in your case, you got a message saying, hey, it needs to be updated. But it's to save us from doing each of these steps every single time. But I do think that it's important to go in and review all of these zaps or all of these different automations.
Oh, absolutely. I had one Zap that created a new Dropbox folder for every new client. And I had a union with a whole bunch of different offices, and they had a different QBO file, 80 of them. All of a sudden, wham, I had 80 new Dropbox files. So you definitely have to know your stuff. And with the Twitter one, okay, it's no big deal if I'm not thanking somebody for following me. But if it had been something that was connected to QuickBooks Online, that's a different animal altogether.
I really like that you're talking about using tools for social. I think that as a whole, as an industry, accountants didn't necessarily go into their field thinking about how am I going to keep up on social.
No, and I stink at it. I really do.
Well, I mean, with your actuary background, I love knowing that about you, and that does not surprise me, Esther. It does not surprise me. Oh my gosh, that opens up so many different conversations. I think about like car insurance. That's where my brain goes.
Gotcha.
But these kinds of scenarios, when we're building connections, they do have to be monitored. They do have to be reviewed. And I would even say there were some questions that were coming into the Q&A, and I'll kind of address some of those real quick. But one of them was saying, what's the difference between some of these solutions? And it's really, a lot of them are working very similarly, but it's the approach that might be different. It might be the way that you're paying for the different solutions. Whenever I'm thinking about some of these that, you can drop and drag into place, some of the Zapier is a little more, I would say, advanced. And so you're going to have a little more comprehension of where to find the string of text that might help point you in the right direction, where Make might be a little bit easier because they've got a whole lot of automations that are already created, and you can tweak them. But I would say that Zapier definitely has more more customization than a lot of the solutions that are out there. But that can also make it where people kind of shy away from using it as well.
It could be. Now you're right, there are a couple of questions in the Q&A. So yes, there is CPE. There will be polling questions. Somebody asked about if there's a deck that we can share. So Gary, I'll leave that to you to answer. Anyway, can we move on to the next slide? There we go.
Yeah, so IFTTT, so, if this, then that kind of statements. And I really like that we're pulling in this idea of, yes, we need automation not only in our business life, but sometimes, like what you're talking about too, professionally, we do need to keep up on social. So I like that you threw in that example. But that's where I really think of IFTTT being in play, is that you can have more even outside of typical business types of scenarios here. Like I'm looking at Dropbox and Google Drive. If you're out at a conference, we're getting ready to be out at Scaling New Heights. While we're there, you might be taking pictures with your friends and they're on your phone, but maybe you want to go and upload those to a Google Drive so that way a group of people or your firm has access to, or maybe you've got team members that are helping you with organizing different contacts, however it is that you want to work with some of these different solutions. There's ideas here that you can go and you can search to look at, maybe like with Esther and social. You can go and check on their list of integrations and you can type in different keywords, or you can even go over to YouTube or to Google, and it will help you with getting an idea of what are the types of things that you can do with the solution and what have others before you thought of. And then, things like, I really like this example of add an article as a PDF to a Google Drive. That's really important for somebody like me who's constantly digesting. I might want to go back and read things later, but maybe I don't want to save a whole bunch of links, but I do want to go ahead and make sure that I have PDFs available to me to search, and Google Drive would allow me to search just like Google, so I can look for keywords. So however it is that you're thinking about operating your business, I think that's where you want to start pulling in these various different automations and solutions to plug in some of those gaps that you've got in your business.
And you're right, Liz, a lot of these places, whether it's If This Then That or Zapier, you can see what other people have done in the past to get ideas. And you can also use those as a template and not have to build it from scratch. That is true.
The goal is, and the concepts are, that we really just need to pull in the data from wherever it's coming in and then help us to push it to the next piece. So whatever the next phase is, we don't have to do it manually. I mean, there are some cases where maybe it does take some logic, but maybe if you can just prep it for yourself, like for me, maybe I would want to take all of these different PDFs and I would maybe want to push them over into my workflow tool. So whatever the different scenarios are, if you start looking through what are the different things that people are already doing with these solutions, it kind of helps you to think about what could you do to eliminate that step of pushing and pulling data.
Absolutely. I think it's time, for our first polling question, Liz. Gary,
Yeah.
Can you launch that polling question? Okay, which of these is a low-code app integrator? Is it A, Make, B, Workflow Boost, C, Project Pilot, or D, Tether?
We should play some Jeopardy music.
That's great. So do we want to count everybody down on these?
Yeah, okay. Somebody else. Okay, I guess another 10 seconds.
And while we're looking at that, there was a question that came in that was saying an app for being able to notify somebody in OneDrive. If I'm thinking about OneDrive, I might be thinking about some of the apps that would integrate with OneDrive. So you might even start by searching YouTube or searching Google. with the app that you're talking about.
Okay, so here are the answers. 50% of you got it right. The answer is make.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
all
So
right.
we can move on. You know, we've been talking about integrations that we're pulling data from different places, and then we're starting to do something with that data. But a lot of the apps that we're using, they recognize that, you know, accountants are definitely in a space that we've got a lot of information. We've got a lot of different ways that it's coming to us. We have a lot of need for communication. And so that's one of the reasons why we're so heavily dependent on these types of integrations. But a lot of the apps that we're using are now starting to have their own built-in integrations, which makes it a whole lot stronger. I'm going to say that thing where Esther and I were just talking about her Zapier connection, and she had to go in and update it. When you're using an app that has these connections built directly into it, they're going to be the ones who are going to moderate what's the condition of the automation. And so if there is some type of automation that needs to be updated, they're going to do it automatically for you, like with Zoom. So a lot of people are doing some of the integrations with Calendly, and we'll kind of go into that one in a minute. But Slack is another one that many of us have a lot of Slack communications, and there is a wide variety of apps that integrate with Slack. You know, one of the things that you just want to make sure that you're doing is, if you've got private conversations that are happening in Slack, because that is a communication tool, I'd make sure that you are looking at the security of each of those apps as well. Here's where I think it would be fun, Susan, to flip it over to you to give you a chance to talk about Pluto, and one, what is Pluto, and then also kind of elaborate on some more little tidbits about Pluto. So I'll pass it to you. Uh-oh, does Susan look frozen?
She does look frozen. Uh-oh. Susan, come back.
You know,
Stay away from the light.
maybe what we'll do is we'll just keep going, and then Susan's connection might get stronger here in a minute, and we can always come back to these. What do you think, Esther?
That sounds like a plan. Okay. So, okay.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, she's back. Yay. Susan, we were just tossing it over to you to talk about what is Pluto. And she's on mute.
Uh-oh.
She's back.
Yes.
No, she's muted again. Susan, say something.
It looks like that mute button's being stubborn.
It is. Okay,
Oh, I'm back.
there
I'm
you
back.
go. Okay,
I'm
don't
so
touch
sorry.
anything.
I
Don't
won't
touch
touch
anything.
anything.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm not sure where I got cut off by my lovely internet, but before I share a bit about our integrations here at Pluto, I first wanted to quickly introduce who we are and what we do here at Pluto. And essentially, we are a cloud-based payment platform supporting businesses of all sizes to really help automate your accounts payable and receivables workflows. Very proudly based in Toronto, Canada, my home city. We also operate in both the US and Canada with a exciting grower customer base of 9,000 clients and counting. So very excited. We just reached that milestone this year. Essentially by managing your AP and AR and reporting through a single platform, as Liz and Esther was really mentioning, housing that in one place, Pluto can ultimately help you increase overall process efficiencies and also automation. When you factor in essentially how much time spent on those manual clicks and administrative costs as well of transacting every month or every day. Essentially, we help our clients save on average 14 plus hours of administrative work. And here's where money matters, thousands of dollars in savings each month. So moving on to the next slide. Oh, too quick. So as I was mentioning, since we are a cloud-based platform, we are proud partners and also integrate with the two leading accounting softwares, QB and Xero. And through these two integrations, we're able to sync your contacts, so pull the contacts through that exist in your existing accounting books, vendors, suppliers, and from there, pull all of your invoices and bills to really help automate and ultimately reduce the amount of clicks spent to make payments and send payments. Some of the more sophisticated features that we offer on our platform include approval rules, because sometimes the small business needs to approve of the money leaving the bank account. So we have those rules in place as well. Unlimited users, because sometimes accounting firms, there's more than one person at your accounting firm, so you need multiple access to the platform in itself. An optimal character recognition tool, so similar to HubDoc or Dext, where you're capturing those invoices, also available on our platform as well. And through that, how the money flows through Pluto is an integration with your bank account, and that's done through a company called Flinks. We integrate with all major financial institutions, credit unions, essentially helping our clients save on some hefty transaction costs with your bank, and also ultimately bringing your AP and AR workflows to the cloud. And that's a really important thing in this day and age of internet, right? Bringing things to the cloud.
Susan, I think I may have answered out of turn. Please tell me if I did something wrong. We were asked if Pluto integrates with QuickBooks Desktop. I believe it does, using the web connector, right?
Indeed, we do. Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes, definitely. You need that web connector. So because QuickBooks Desktop is an offline app, you gotta have it think with the cloud somehow. And the web connector is easily downloadable on our platform as well. And we have tons of helpful guides on our website to help you navigate through that as well.
Yeah, I vaguely recall recommending it to a client of mine who's using QuickBooks Enterprise. So yeah. Okay, super. Well, thank you, Susan. Let's move on to examples of no-code automation. So these are screenshots from my Google Workspace. I've blurred out some personal stuff or some confidential stuff. So you can see in the Google Workspace, specifically in that screenshot on the left, I was in my Gmail. Okay, my email has Gmail in the background. So here on the right, I'm searching for PDF apps by clicking on the plus icon just to the right of my Gmail inbox. So you click on the plus icon at the right, and the apps appear contextually depending on whatever Google program you're in. And then what you can do is with the pop-up, you can search the apps and you can look for a rating out of 5 and the number of times it's downloaded. And and you can also filter for the Google Workspace app that works with it. So if we go on, Liz, to the next slide, you'll have some other screenshots. So you can filter for free apps or paid apps or all apps. And excuse me, you can see from the drop down that shows that it works with Gmail, but I could have also chosen other Google Workspace apps such as Drive, Calendar, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Forms, Classroom, Chat, and so on. So it's really super easy to find things that work with your particular Google Workspace app choice. And it's just super easy to just plug it in and it starts working. Can we go on to our next slide? So here's another example. This is not, this is from Cloud HQ. If there are bits of text that you have occasion to put into emails repeatedly, you can create shortcuts for them, similar to how you would create shortcuts or text replacements on your iPhone. They're called Gmail snippets from Cloud HQ. All you need to do is, and it's super easy to set them up, is once you've set them up, and you can see certain ones that I've set up in the screenshot on the left, is when you're in a Gmail message, you're composing a Gmail message, you think, oh, I want to invite somebody to a 30-minute Zoom. Just click on the backslash on your keyboard, and all of a sudden this drop down of shortcuts appears, which you can filter by entering just part of the name that you've given it. So I would enter, for instance, /30, and then the book 30 Zoom snippet will pop up. So it's super, super easy. These snippets will also allow for replaceable variables that are context sensitive, such as the recipient's name. So it'll say, Dear Liz or Dear Susan, right? There's first name, last name, full name, email address, even the day of the week, as you can see in the screenshot on the right. So it's super, super helpful. And I believe this one is free. So these are very, very useful. I have a whole bunch of them set up. Can we go on to our next slide? Another one that I set into place some time ago is Boomerang. I added it to my Gmail. It can also be linked to Google Calendar. I'm using the free basic plan, which allows me 10 credits a month, but there is a paid plan if you want unlimited usage. So it lets you track if someone replies to an email, and it sets reminders on important messages. There are three main features to help achieve this. There's response tracking. So Boomerang's response tracking feature helps you to remember to follow up with people if you don't hear back from them in a given amount of time. They place the sent message at the top of the inbox if you don't hear back from them within the specified time frame, alerting you to follow up with another email. Then there are reminders. When you receive an important email that you want to check back on in the future, you can use Boomerang to remind yourself. This feature returns the message again to the top of the inbox when specified. This helps ensure that the message is readily available when needed and reminds you to take action on messages when the time is appropriate. Then there's Send Later, which is the reason I got into Boomerang in the first place. Using the simple Send Later button, you can schedule messages to send at a later time. So if I'm working on something on the weekend, but I don't want clients to know I work on weekends, I can have it sent Monday morning or something like that. The Send Later menu gives you the option to choose from a set of common send times or specify the exact date and time that the email is to be sent without needing to log back in to hit send or even have a network connection, which is great. Boomerang will automatically deliver the message at the desired time. However, I don't use it for that anymore because there's now a scheduled send option in Gmail messages natively. But that's what I was using Boomerang for in the first place. And it is pretty cool. It is definitely pretty cool. Liz, can you talk to us about integrations with Calendly?
Of course. And I really like it that you were just talking about Cloud HQ, because our firm, used to be Google based. And so Cloud HQ has got a lot of different things that we used whenever we were Google based. So it's a great app. Calendly, one of the reasons why we picked this one is that a lot of us are using some type of calendar app. So whether it's Acuity or whether it's Bookings or Calendly, that's a really good way for you to be able to collaborate. Anytime that I'm emailing somebody and there's a possibility that I might want to book a meeting, I make sure that my Calendly link is inside of my email thread. Even on our website, my Calendly link is there. The thing that's really cool, if you're not already using some type of calendar app, let me kind of share some of the highlights. One, you can create multiple different types of meetings. So in what we do as a profession, we have lots of different types of meeting links because of the things we might be talking about. So if I'm going to be meeting with a client and I need to be able to review year end, I want an hour. If it's something where it's a quick check-in, maybe 15 minutes is appropriate. So new client meetings might be something that would be really quick. Maybe you charge for them, maybe you don't. If you are somebody who is using a paid Calendly subscription, you can actually charge for those meetings before you ever show up to them.
I love the idea with a paywall.
Huh?
I love it that you can make a paywall. Absolutely.
Well, you paywall. I like that idea, because what happens is if you just let people book themselves or whether or not you do it back and forth with an email thread, what time works for you. people don't show up, they get busy, whatever happens. But if you have them pay even $25, they are way more likely to make sure that they get that appointment on their calendars. They show up appropriately. Calendly is also going to send off some reminders. You can customize the reminders to text. You can be one of those things that you set up to remind them the day before. So lots of different options whenever you're thinking about, again, the idea is to automate. And this is an area that you can automate pretty easily and with very, very either no cost because you want to use the free option, or low cost because each of these apps do cost. Calendly and App-etite. Booking, if you're somebody who's using Microsoft, is free. One of the things that limits you, and the reason, because being Microsoft based, one of the reasons we don't just stick with bookings is the desire to take payments. So you are limited in that area. But yeah, I think that these calendar integrations are fantastic for multiple different reasons. You can put them on social. You can embed them inside of articles that you write. Maybe you want to get your name out there. Maybe you want to send a letter out to all of your clients, and you want to make sure that they're aware of, you know, whatever offering your firm has that you just want to highlight. You could always put inside of that newsletter that goes out or that email that goes out, hey, if you want to follow up and you want to learn more, use this Calendly link in order to book an appointment. And if you've got it that's specific to the type of meeting, you're going to know how many of those types of meetings do you have. Lots of good ways that you might want to use these types of calendar apps. I'll flip over and start talking about Slack. And this is an area that, you know, there's a ton of great tools out there for communication. Why I keep coming back to Slack is it's just so darn easy. And a lot of people have incorporated it. So it doesn't matter if you're a large firm. It doesn't matter if you are somebody who's just a couple of people. Slack really is easy to make fit your needs. One of the things I like about the apps that fit into Slack is so creative. So, you know, if you wanted to create custom you know, responses, you can do that inside of Slack. There's several different apps that can help you with some of the automation. One of the things that we do is we want to be able to check boxes. So I might say, here's all of the tasks that I really need to think about. I might make that task list for myself, but I can actually put in check boxes. And then that way, if I want to keep track of it for my own use, or if I want to collaborate with a team member, I can make that where everybody can then sign off that they've completed it by creating a checklist. You know, there's lots of little apps like that. You know, I think that Dropbox, of course, Zoom, you know, there wasn't as much of a need anymore to have Zoom integration into Slack because you've got the huddles that Slack has, which I think work great. So a lot of the people that I interact with that use Slack, they prefer to just stay in Slack in those little huddles. If you're not familiar, it's like having a Zoom meeting like what we're in right now. It's just, it's already built into Slack itself. Any other of the add-ons inside of Slack that you utilize, Esther?
I just started playing around with the add-ons. I kind of got dragged into the whole Slack universe kicking and screaming, but now I'm all in. But I just started connecting my Google Drive to it, and I'm starting to be annoyed by all the notifications. So I'm not sure I'm going to keep it. So I'm still working my way through that. We do have some questions in the Q&A. So Kimberly asked, does this also work with Outlook? And I'm not sure what the question is regarding.
I would almost wonder if that's Slack. So I'm going to answer Kimberly as if it was Slack. I'm going to say that Teams is definitely better if you're Microsoft based. I still use Slack for my clients, but a lot of team communication, like our internal team, I do use Teams for. I know a lot of people who have migrated over completely into Microsoft and are using like Teams chat for clients, but my clients are in Slack, they know it and they use it. So I would say that Slack is not great with Outlook.
Okay. Keith asks, is there a way to use these apps to import a database or order into QuickBase? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the answer to that one either. I don't use
Oh,
QuickBooks very much
okay.
anymore.
Okay, Kimberly was asking if Boomerang works with Outlook. That's what she was asking. I
Oh,
don't know. I haven't used Outlook in forever. I'm sorry. I used to use it all the time and now I don't. So I don't know what to answer.
how about we just leave that one inside of our Q&A and I'll go and look at the answer real quick because I can.
Okay. And Lisa asks, do you know of a free app to send meeting reminders from Google Calendar?
So one of the things that I like your question here, Lisa, I would say my Calendly is tied to my multiple Google calendars. And so it will look at my different calendars, even my personal calendars. It has doctor's appointments or family, outings, and it will look to find spots that are available. And yes, you can send reminders out, and Calendly and Google Calendar integrate really nicely together.
Okay. And Vicky asked, does Slack work with an internet-based email? So yeah, it would. Wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I know that you're trying to find the answer to QuickBase. So Linda says Gmail has send later built right in. Yeah, we covered that. Thank you. She saw me going down a different rabbit hole, so she wanted to help me. Thank you. And Patricia says that she likes the paywall. Absolutely, the paywall thing. Paul says check out zcal.co for full feature free calendar app and Calendly alternative. Okay. And thank you. And Wayne asks, how do we find the Slack checkbox to-dos?
Okay. You want me to tell you which Slack app I use? Okay. Stand by. I'll find that one too.
Okay. Moving while Liz is doing that, Susan, Liz, can you move us to the next slide so Susan can speak to Pluto's internal tech stack and app integrations? So
Yes.
Susan, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about Pluto and the many, many apps we use. So, of course, Pluto being a tech company, we do have a subset of internal tech stack that we use that seamlessly integrate with almost everything that we do in our daily lives at work. You may recognize a few of these companies. Liz and Esther have already talked about these companies. Some of the customer-facing app integrations that we use. So Salesforce is our customer relationship management tool, and that's really our motherboard of everything when it comes to communicating with our clients and logging interactions. And it really seamlessly integrates with these other customer-facing apps, which include AirCall. So AirCall is a telephone system that's available right on your computer. So I don't have to use my personal phone when I'm talking to clients. And the great thing about AirCall is you can record conversations with your clients. You can receive and send calls as well. And it also seamlessly integrates with Salesforce. So that's another amazing thing about AirCall in itself. Calendly, Liz, when you were talking all about Calendly, I was like, yes, yes, yes to all of that. We love Calendly here at Pluto. We use that, of course, mainly for our customer booking. When they're booking meetings, you're going to see the Calendly link later on in a few slides and how we used it within this presentation as well. But like Liz was mentioning, we're able to seamlessly integrate Calendly in our CRM platform to pull like booking information directly on our platform. And that's how we can manage the meetings itself. Any questions that you fill in on the Calendly template, that information is automatically pulled into our CRM as well. So it really makes booking with our team very easy. Another new tool that we're introducing is Gong. So I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with Gong, but essentially it's a meeting recording tool. It's super cool because it also helps us, one, transcribe our meetings. So text for speech is a new tool that everybody loves as well. And you can also attach keywords that come up within the meeting, so you can pull data analytics on the meeting in itself. So how many times does a customer bring up payables? How many times does a customer bring up, my pain point is multiple clicks? So we are able to gather those insights and formulate them into data points. So those are some of our customer-facing tools. Internally, our team uses Office, so Office 365, including Outlook, Microsoft. We're a Microsoft Teams company as well, so similar to Liz, our internal communications, we do use Teams, great communication tool as well. Loom is a fun one as well. It helps us record our training videos. So instead of having ad hoc meetings, you can just essentially record a training video and then share it company-wide. So that really helps with time and reducing the amount of meetings that we have. ClickUp is our ticket management tool. So that platform also seamlessly integrates with everything that we do here at Pluto, where you can submit work order tickets essentially. And it essentially diverts to each respective team that needs to take care of that task. Text plays. So I know Esther was mentioning that like backslash and then automatically populates information on your email. We use text plays, and that's a similar app to Boomerang that you're mentioning, where
It wasn't Boomerang. Yeah, it was the snippets, but yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we are able to short form everything into templates. So we don't have to spend hours and hours typing up similar email responses. Really saves time for us too. And it integrates both into Salesforce, our Outlook, even documents per se, like in our Notion platform. So Notion is our documentation and collaboration tool that we use internally as well. Really helpful for meeting notes, collaboration during meetings. And of course, last but not least, we use Pluto ourselves. So Pluto is used internally for our accounts payables and receivables and employee expenses. So as much as we like to promote Pluto for businesses, we got to use our own platform too and make sure that it works for our business as well.
Okay, Liz.
I love that. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Susan, for taking us through the tech stack. I want to get our next poll launched to make sure that everybody gets a chance to have these 3 different polls. And while that's up, Susan, one of the things that I'll say is it's fascinating for all of us to understand the tech stack that you're using internally at Pluto, and to hear that most of these apps are ones that we've heard of or familiar of or even using ourselves. And it gives us quite a bit of confidence in these apps that we're already using. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll have a quick poll here, and then we want to make sure that we get our last poll in for CPE. So after we do this poll, we'll probably move through a few slides, and then we'll launch our last poll to make sure that everybody who's here for CPE gets all 3 of these.
Sure, we're running a little low on time, so yeah, great idea, Liz.
Well, we have so much to talk about. Oh my gosh, and our industry needs this. So
yeah,
it's just the way it works whenever you got good stuff to talk about. So I'll count us down here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so all are free and can be searched. So the answer is D, search by name or function. So that's what the majority of you got. So thank you for answering that poll.
Okay, I'll be very brief here. I'll just talk about one thing, which I think is the most important. I've added Fathom.ai to my Zoom. It's free, and it adds a virtual user to my meetings, which, like any regular person I've invited to Zoom, I can either admit or not admit. This user records the meeting and transcribes it into the Fathom portal, and I have unlimited storage forever and for free. I can share links to recordings and transcriptions. They're searchable with other users if I want. It's a great alternative to some paid options, so I would definitely suggest that. So you can see the apps that I have connected to Zoom down the right side. I will skip over the other stuff because I know we're low on time. But for Chrome extensions, to find new extensions for Chrome, go to chrome.google.com/web store, and you can do all kinds of searches for great extensions to Chrome. Liz, you want to take us to the next slide?
Yeah, and you know, whenever I'm thinking about Chrome here, so for many years, like I was saying earlier, Google was what our firm was based in. So we would do a lot of Google apps and extensions and add-ons. And so the concept here with Chrome extensions is it gives you an extended ability in your browser. So many of you are familiar with our really great friend, Hector Garcia. You know, he has been very actively helping our community with a brand new Chrome extension. And so there's an add-on that you can go and get, and it'll help you inside a QBO. It's got some shortcuts and pulls up some must-have kind of reports, and you can even customize it. So if you're looking for a Chrome extension, you can go over, you can search to find those Chrome extensions, and the way to access that is by going over into those three little dots, your little eclipse, and then looking at those more tools and selecting extensions. And then from there, you can sort by name, you can sort by the type of tool that it is. You know, there's a lot of really good ones that I'm thinking about for review of your books. Auto review is fantastic. So you might go out there and search. The mother company, I think, is called Zenit. So you could search for that, and you could have that available to you while you're inside of QuickBooks Online, because Chrome is the preferred browser. And you can have these suggestions about what kinds of transactions maybe do you need to go and edit and tweak. And when you're pulling reports, it'll even pull up maybe some things that you might want to draw attention to. So really great. You know, sometimes I'm asked about advisory and coaching. Those are good tools for being able to help with those kinds of meetings. I'll move through this one kind of quick and just talk about themes. You know, I think that a lot of us are at our desk the majority of the hours of the day. So if you want to change the way that you're viewing your screen and searching around, you certainly can do that. So this is more as aesthetics and making it customized to fit maybe the theme of your day, business, or just kind of lifestyle. I'm going to move us over into this third poll because I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to get in on our last poll here.
Okay, well, people are answering the poll question about how you and your clients handle your payments today. I have a couple of announcements to make. Michael says that Chrome extensions also work with the Chromium version of Edge, which is great. And Murph reminds us, please remind those attending to keep track of this session and its CPE, as it will specifically appear in next year's 2024 Top 100 ProAdvisor formal application. Christina's asking me to restate the AI note taker. It's fathom.ai. So just go to fathom.ai and that'll take you there. Where did you go again to search Google extensions? Google, the plus icon on the right of the Google Workspace. Oh, and Murph says also all the sessions in this Future Forward event you'll be able to, you should keep track of. Okay. Any suggestions how to make Gmail app work better on mobile and tablets?
Yeah, you know, a lot of apps are going to be limited functionality. And so, you know, anytime that I'm on a tablet and I've got more landscape space, I go ahead and I log into the full version, as opposed to, you know, for example, if I'm on, if I'm wanting to use QBO, yes, there's an app version on my phone, but I'm more prone to go and log into the full version. So
exactly what I do.
Because I go straight to the full application.
Okay, I guess we're going to have to hop over to our recap slide.
Yeah, so we want to count down this last poll. Oh, there it goes. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And many were answering QuickBooks payments is how they're getting dollars transferred bank to bank. I see bank to bank and I'm like, you need an app for that. So recap. Our industry is heavily dependent on data being moved from one place to the other. The communication, that's where a lot of us struggle. It's like we might be doing the work and we're spending, long days doing it and working very hard with our team, but we've got to make sure that we're also communicating with our clients. So even if it's just an app that helps you with communication, that helps client satisfaction. They don't understand everything we do. So if you can have an app that maybe pulls from your workflow and says, this is the task that was completed, notifies and sends an email to let your client know, that's just a huge win. Or even in your team, it's like if you've onboarded a client, letting your team know that some celebrations. So those are the kinds of apps that we went through today, is these low codes, no codes, built-in integrations, lots of alternatives here. Pluto, it's been fun having you with us to just share some different scenarios that you also have been utilizing solutions and integrations that are built into Pluto as well. Susan, I'm going to pass this over to you because I want to make sure to give a chance to announce this fun thing.
Yes, and this is being recorded, people. It is.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Liz, Esther, for having Pluto and myself during the session. Look, if you're interested in learning more, consider this your sign. So we offer free product demos with our onboarding team. So if you do want to check out a demo to see the platform live, use the QR code right on your screen right now. It links directly to Calendly. So that's the amazing thing about that QR code. And yeah, once you attend a demo, we'll enter you into a $200 Amazon gift card raffle. So we hope to see many of you in our calendars.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.
Esther, I love hanging out with you. And
Love
Susan,
you back, Liz.
Oh, thanks. And Susan, it's been fantastic having you with us. Gary,
It
over
has
to
been.
you.
As always, my head's exploding. Lots of information you guys shared. I don't even know where to begin, but I do want, before, I'm sure we're losing people, but so you went through a lot of things, tons of apps out there, obviously. Primarily around automation is what we're trying to get people to think about and to bring these things to their firm. Where do you start? Because I think that's the challenge for all of us is, okay, I've got 85 different software solutions. Great. I really only use 2 of them, but I know the other 83 can do great things for me. But how do I start? Where do I get started? How do I do that?
I think one thing to do, Gary, is to write out the workflows that are the ones that you would like to automate the most, the ones that are the most annoying, the ones that are the most frequent, and then take a look at what can do those jobs. And then when you have it worked out, then it'll help you plan out how to implement that app.
Okay. Anybody other thoughts on that?
100% agree. You need to know what it is that is the pain point. And if you're struggling with even ideas, all of these different apps that we've talked about, if you go over and you look at their sites and their integrations, their templates, that just gives you a place to start to help you to explore what all the possibilities are in each of these different apps.
Fantastic. Well, I think we leave it on that. That's a great way to wrap it up. Esther, Liz, Susan, thank you so much. As always, great information. Certainly look forward to having you back on here very soon, whether it's another QB Talks or another Future Forward, which we do have more sessions this afternoon, and we have 4 more sessions tomorrow. So mark your calendars. If you haven't already registered for those, you still can. We'd love to see y'all there. And then we'll see you, like you said, we'll see you at Scaling New Heights in about a month.
Very soon.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you
Looking
so much.
forward. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.